Ladies and gentlemen.
They want more. Crying babies looking for food, starvation, the recipe, people subdued. When the people you trust got it in for you. Deceit is the word of the day and every clue. Don't let it go, it's from the days of old. Time is up, but some still do not know. Can I make up my mind? Is it worth the dime? Do I have to take a minute just to make it mine? Life's never fair, but don't listen to the TV. Go out and take a listen to the streets with the people in the slums and the homeless bums with degrees and degrees sitting under a tree. It's not easy in the world for the poor man, the one that brought you to reality. See, they don't want you to know about the black sheep, leaving 7 roads to the 12 families all around the globe with an ancient code. Is it really asking a lot to say a death old? Cause we sitting on the earth looking back at extinct, and I'm standing on some ground that's about to sink. I ain't scared for a minute, I ain't about to blink, but I documented for the world what I see and think. Feel we on the call and up and we on the break. All Congress gonna do is waste paper and ink. Vote or die, you voted and you'll die. You can have it both ways, can't say it's a lie. You can march all you want, but they playing you wrong. They only understand war, it's the same old song. They want war, all they really want is a war. Diversionary tactic to make the big score. The diamonds in the morning, you know they want more, but they wanna keep you low, so they manifest the war. War, all they really want is a war. Diversionary tactic to make the big score. The diamonds in the morning, you know they want more, but they wanna keep you low, so they manifest the war. Like a lotus coming out of the mud with colors, I create envy in those with power but jealous. I unify the poor with my song, the hell with the others. Descended the way they treat indigenous brothers, cause I understand we link forever. They try to hate us even though that we keep it together. I'm not talking about controlling the air or the weather, I'm talking about maintaining the truth, the high endeavor. A rebel drops bombs in the midst of trouble. The free world counterattack and now there's double, but nature gets the shit in the way to settle. If you stop the machines for a minute you might hear, but they won't cause the TV's whisper in the ear. And capitalism has eyes that don't tear, and they cloud up and get crazy and won't steer. And like an ab, it's hard to get an ass to listen. Living like this is like living in prison. It's hard to keep hope when you're living in prison. The spiritual thoughts, so yes, the mental prison. The outside, yes, it's got to get through. Something's gotta die, so something here can live. Your life is nothing if you got nothing to give. Keeping the spiritual, yes, disguised as religion. Controlling your mind, the mental prison. They want war, all they really want is a war. Diversionary tactic to make the big score. The diamonds in the morning, you know they want more, but they wanna keep you low, so they manifest the war. War, all they really want is a war. Diversionary tactic to make the big score. The diamonds in the morning, you know they want more, but they wanna keep you low, so they manifest the war.
Alrighty. Yes, good evening and good morning to everybody. Good evening to the folks on the late grind in the U.S. and good morning to those in the EU that's just getting up, getting started on their day. It's approximately, what time is it right now? It's 9:59 a.m. in the EU Central European time, and so that would make it 3:59, right, p.m. In the U.S., right? Eastern Standard Time, the East Coast, right? And damn, let me think about that. Wow, yeah, that's late. That's late. So you guys that are listening to me in the U.S. on the East Coast, that's the late grind. But I got a lot of Midwest and West Coast listeners. So those of y'all from California and from Nevada, Midwest area, I appreciate you all a lot. Thanks for tuning in. And yo, as I mentioned in the chat lately, not lately, but, my listeners, primarily 70% are between the ages of 35 and 65. A lot of them are above 45. So I just want to stop and say I appreciate you all so much because you all are in my age group. I mean, I'm 55, even though, to be honest with you, I feel like I'm 30. to be honest, I'm gonna be honest with you. I feel like I'm 35, but I'm actually 55. I mean, I'm in good health. Thank God. I've never had any major health complications in my life. Thank God. I've been always been pretty active and in a lot of ways in my life. So I'm just thankful for that blessing. And I'm also thankful for the place that I live, Denmark, for being a really hospitable country for Americans that have migrated here for many decades. But since World War II, since the end of World War II, Americans have been coming here. Since the Vietnam War, Americans been coming here. Americans have been living in Denmark for quite some time. And there's a substantial number of us here, by the way, plus 10,000 for those of you that want to know. And yeah, so just a little background on that. Yo, Bits. Oh, okay, you 44 Bits. There you go. Right. 12. Oh, it's 12:59 in Arizona. 1:59. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Right. New Mexico. Yeah. It's hard to the sun. The U.S. is a big country. The U.S. is a big country. 350 million Americans. But the time zones are like what, 3, 4 different time zones, right? It stretches from the Atlantic to the Pacific, right? And so, yeah, there's a lot of time to consider, and I can't actually. I wish I should get a little app that shows me the time up here on the screen so I can just run it down. But I appreciate folks, and especially right now. Let me tell you, the folks on the West Coast, I'm really impressed with the folks on the West Coast right now. I mean, I'm impressed with all Americans because Americans are fighting back tooth and nail through the law, first of all, through the Constitution. The Democratic Party is very active in the legal processes right now, which are slow and laborious at times. And for a lot of younger people are very frustrated by that because I feel a lot of younger voters, they don't like the process being slow, the process to justice being slow, being at a grinding slowness at times. And AOC, she talked about that, how younger people that are out there on the street, not that it's only younger people, but people that are out there in the face of ICE and in the face of federal agents, demanding their civil rights be upheld, right, in their communities, demanding police follow the law, right, even though they have a badge. These kind of people putting their life on the line straight up. A lot of times, you need not a lot of times, that's just action. That is within justice, the bounds of justice, because listen, you can't let people with badges break the law. Just because you have a badge doesn't give you the license to commit crimes. Committing 1, 2, 3, 4 crimes to stop one crime is a no-go, right? And I'm happy to see community members get that. And I'm happy to see politicians also back that up in Chicago, in New York. This idea that civilians shouldn't have to always watch crimes being committed by people with badges and then wait the long, laborious process to see if the courts and blah, blah, blah. And then they take it to the Supreme Court. And that shit takes way too long. Justice needs to be a little more faster with this shit. Norms need to be upheld. And what's going on right now is not a norm in the United States. It's not a norm at all. Now, today's podcast is called Americans Will Celebrate When Trump and His Cohorts Are Gone. And when I say Americans, I mean, in the most explicit terms, the most definitive terms. I mean, Americans from the tip top up in Canada, all the way down to the end in Peru to the, what is it? Or is it, what's the last South American nation that's on the tip? Is it Chile? Is it Chile? You let me know. But to the tip top, Peru or Chile, one of them, down there in the bottom, not Peru, I'm sorry, damn, I'm mixing it up. Argentina, right? All the way down to the end, they are going to celebrate Trump regime and cohorts leaving. And I'm going to tell you why. First of all, and this is very concerning, like everything Trump does and his cohorts do, these people are literally trying to turn Americans against each other. As a norm. That's the platform they ran on. Attack South America, attack Canada, North America, attack our neighbors, attack the people we have close cultural bonds with, historical bonds with, attacking them. And almost to me, it seems like Trump is trying to lead South America, lead Central America into China and Russia's hands. And they don't want to be controlled by nobody. They want to be free, just like Americans in the United States want to be free, just like Americans in Canada want to be free, just like Americans in Mexico want to be free. But in the Central America, Caribbeans, folks just want to be fucking free. And why can't we be free? Why can't we have that standard upheld and respected by other fellow Americans first and foremost? If other fellow Americans first and foremost don't uphold those ideals, why the hell would anyone else? It puts us all in danger, And this is like so problematic. To me, it looks like this shit with Venezuela, these attacks with Colombia now is really designed to isolate South America and Central America. And they're living creatures. They're living organisms. They're people, humans. They're not going to be isolated. So that means he's trying to push them towards China and Russia because it's one of their only options, Now, if I was them, I would lean more towards the EU as an alternative. I wouldn't cut anybody out, but I would aggressively look to make ties with the EU, right? Because at least the EU does respect Americans' right to freedom. Americans, South Americans, Central Americans, they're not aggravating, they're not attacking, they're not shooting down ships, and they're also not trying to bring in communism, right? They're also not trying to bring in Russia, Putin-style leadership where you have a president for 30 fucking years, or where you have a president for 30 fucking years, oppressive regimes. They're not trying to bring that in. They're trading. So, I see this as an opportunity for all Americans from Canada to Argentina to just tip from the top to the south, from the south to the top, and everything in between to reclaim our friendship, reclaim our bonds. We do have differences, some slight cultural differences, and I say slight cultural differences because every American eats goddamn corn. Everybody like their version of corn on the corn this, corn bread, corn tacos, corn da 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 da. I mean, everyone, we have dishes that we all share that are integral to our history. The beans, what is that called? It's popular. It's a very popular dish that Brazilians claim more and get credit for more. But the truth is that bean dish with the pork and the beef in it and vegetables and all of this, the truth of the matter is that historically that dish is known throughout all of America. Why? Because that is a dish propagated mostly by descendants of slavery, the slaves. And those slaves, that dish spread from South America, Central America, and yes, the United States of America too. We have that. We have these cultural ties. And so, and there's more ties. We got the music going on. Shit, if you go to Washington, D.C., you got go-go music. But you look at the instruments they're using, and you listen a little bit, you will see the instruments they're using are the same instruments that folks is using in, damn, I'm losing some of my mind here. I'm sorry. Damn, what is the music that Colombia created? That kicked off all across. Damn. Anyway, you get my point. If you guys have traveled, you've seen these. If you traveled across America, which I encourage all Americans to do, from north to south, you will see these cultural bonds. You will see those things throughout the music, throughout the food, throughout the religion too, and these kind of stuff. So salsa music, exactly. Colombia is actually the capital of salsa music. They created it for people that haven't been to Colombia. You should go. You should go. All Americans, so no matter if you're from Central or you're from North America, go visit Colombia, go visit South America, and vice versa, because together we are stronger. Together we are very, very strong. You see what I mean? And we have more that unites us than divides us. This whole thing about the Reagan era capitalism versus the, Russian style USSR communism, or the Chinese, this whole bullshit. Yo, listen, we've matured. We've matured. We know more nuances than those things from the Cold War. We don't need to line up behind Cold War thinking. There's more nuances now. You need healthcare. You need education. You need freedom of speech, right? These kind of things. And you need an economic driving tool, right? So free and fair markets. We need freedom, you see? So in that case, I want to send my respect out as a fellow American from the United States of America. I want to send my respect to other Americans as well, whether you're from South America, whether you're indigenous population, whether you're one of the historical migrant populations like from Europe, or if you're African descent, if you migrated there because of African descent through the slave trade or whatever. I want to send my respect out to all of y'all, because we have more in common than we have in differences in every ways, if you want to have a real conversation about it. So my respect and my appreciation goes out to you and your cultures, your American cultures, your fellow American cultures, Canadians as well, Mexicans as well, and everybody else, the Caribbean, and thus, and on and on and on. But in any case, so let's see here. First of all, I want everybody to tell me in the chat right now, what city do you come from in the world? Let me know what city you come from. I come from Washington, D.C. Let me know the city you come from. I got a lot of folks. Most of my listeners come out of the U.S. That's like 60% come out of the U.S., but another 40% come from other places in the world. So, I just want to know. Here we go. Here we go. Da, 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 da. Okay, Steve doesn't understand what I'm saying, but he's from Milwaukee. Okay, who'd you vote for, Steve? You vote for Trump? No wonder you don't understand what I'm talking about. If you voted for Trump, you probably won't get anything that I'm saying, and in your brain, it will probably all be lies and fake news. So, we already understand that, But you're welcome to join and be here anyway. I won't terrorize your neighborhood. I won't take your gun rights from you, and I won't force you to be gay or transsexual if that's what you're worried about. Okay? So there you go. All liberals and Democrats are actually, all liberal and Democrats, 99% of us aren't even thinking about that kind of stuff. We're thinking about equal rights for everybody, even heterosexual white men. You have the equal right to be straight and white man and live by yourself in your own town without living around anybody else, if that's what you want in your community, as long as you don't force that on other people. You see? So there you have it. It goes both ways. Now, let's see here. Let's get on with the news. Oh, hold on. Let me see. Who else is from? Where else y'all from? Hold on. Somebody said here, I don't know who Jedi is talking to. The fact that you think you are so smart is hilarious. Here we go. Yeah, I will put this up on the chat. I don't know. The fact that you think you are so smart is hilarious. You're drinking your own Kool-Aid. Oh, wow. That's some serious gaslighting. If I'm so not smart, why are you here? You like listening to dumb people? That's insane. I tell you what state do you live in? Where are you from, Jedi Chai? Where you from? If you're so smart, let me know where you from. Just curious. I don't mind entertaining the chat a little bit since folks come out. Jedi Chai, where you from? Okay, I don't see you at Jedi Chai must be busy all of a sudden. Okay, well, in any case, yeah, Bits, yeah, keep on listening. I'm here. Yeah, let's go on. Well, you have the right to be here, even if you think I'm dumb, Jedi Chai, if that's your message. But in any case, thanks for your support too. But now let's get over to the news here. If I missed anybody, sorry about that. Just keep on always remind me when you leave something in the chat. Remind me what state or city you from, or the place where you are. You know what I'm saying? Now, let's get into some crazy, delusional Trump shit. Well, you know what? Nah, let's just go to the basic news first. Let's go and look into the what the top stories are from last night real quick.
Tonight's breaking news as we come on the air, striking their target. The new images coming in, the 10th military strike on a suspected drug boat in the Caribbean. At least 6 people killed. And tonight, President Trump now sending an aircraft carrier strike group to the waters off Central.
Okay, so did Trump send an aircraft carrier strike force to South America, to the borders of, to the oceans of Colombia, international waters, but outside of Colombia and Venezuela? If that's correct, if I'm informed correctly about that, put a 1 in the chat. If I'm misinformed about that, put a 2 in the chat. I just want to make sure before we go too far. Is this factual or is this unfactual? Did Trump send this aircraft carrier okay, let's just get the news straight. Is this fake news or is that real news? Which one? If it's real, put a 1 in the chat. If it's not real, I mean, because I was informed about Trump doing this through ABC. Guess how long ago? Just now, a couple, not even an hour ago. But if you think I'm misinformed about that, put a 2 in the chat. Let me know. Am I misinformed? Put a 2 in the chat. If I'm misinformed about Trump sending an aircraft carrier, put a 2 in the chat. Let's see here. Not getting it. Somebody thinks I'm misinformed. So just want to make sure we go step by step for the folks that, have, I wouldn't even say constructive criticism, but at least you're polite in using the right terms that you think. Misinformed is good. So now that you all believe that we're correct, I'm correct, that I'm informed correctly, that this really did happen, let's play it.
At least 6 people killed. And tonight, breaking news as we come on the
Okay, were there at least 6 people killed? If we're correct about 6 people being killed, put a 1 in the chat. If we're misinformed, okay, Steve says we're misinformed about that, y'all. He says it's not real. Steve says it's not real, that 6 people were not killed and that Trump did not send. Okay, that's interesting,
on the air,
Steve.
striking their target. The new images coming in, the 10th military strike on a suspected drug boat in the Caribbean. At least 6 people killed. And tonight, President Trump now sending an aircraft carrier strike group to the waters off Central and South America. We'll go live to Martha Raddatz. Tonight,
Okay, now, do you believe that that this is a legal act? If you believe killing 6 people is an illegal act, right? Put a 1 in the chat, right? Illegal, meaning that there's no national or international bodies or human rights bodies, none, 0, that should have any problem with this. And if the same thing happens to you, you would believe the same thing, that no international bodies should have any problem with you having China, Russia, bomb you in the waters of the United States of America, international waters. You would also believe that it's okay if your boat just went off track or whatever you want to have, even in United States water. Me, I think it's definitely illegal. I definitely think that it's designed to divide Americans, right, from their allies. Colombia is an ally of the U.S. I don't know how many of you know that. They've been working together with the United States for some time in a lot of different ways. And other nations, it's not, if you go, it's just like Canada. Canada's been one of our strongest allies. Denmark has been one of our strongest allies. And yet Trump has found a way to see them as enemies of the United States of America. So it's kind of weird, but let's play some more here.
24 of the government shutdown. Hundreds of thousands of workers now going without their paychecks.
Is this true? Is it hundreds of thousands of workers as of last night going without their paychecks? Am I informed correctly or am I misinformed? If I'm informed correctly, right, you are informed correctly. If I'm not, right, you are misinformed, sir. Now, we're talking about 100, how many federal employees are going without a check? I don't know. This is MSNBC. I mean, ABC.
Tonight,
Let's
day
listen.
24 of the government
Is it day 24 also of the government shutdown? And is this correct?
shutdown. Hundreds of thousands of workers now going without their paycheck.
Are hundreds and thousands of workers, federal workers, now going without their paycheck? We don't know. Maybe this is fake news. Maybe this is gay news to some of you. Maybe this is faggot news. Maybe this is Al Shabaab news. Maybe this is Al Qaeda news. I don't know, but it's just said. Maybe this is, I don't know, alien news. Some of you believe in aliens. I mean, maybe this is like, I don't know. Who knows? But what could be in your mind? But I know I just heard it on ABC, right? And they just said it. So I'm curious. Is that correct? Is it correct or is it incorrect? I'm curious. This is day 24. Is it day 24 or is it day 25? Let's say.
checks.
Here we go.
Congress is still getting paid.
Is Congress still getting paid? If Congress is still getting paid, put 1, Congress, yes. If Congress is not getting paid, put 2, Congress, no. Let's see if this is correct information here. I'm just doing it because, there's a lot of folks in the chat that always like to say, you're misinformed or you get gay. Even somebody said I'm gay. I'm like, dude, look, first of all, I'm too old to be, worried about what you think about me. But second of all, how would you know? Why don't you get out of people's bedrooms? Stop thinking sexually about people. Grow up, become an adult. Think about the information, the conversation. You see what I mean? I'm not asking you if you're gay. I don't care if you're fucking gay. A lot of you MFers are actually doing a whole lot of shit, claiming a whole lot of shit. So how would I know? I'm not there with you. This is the internet. You know what I'm saying? So let me know. Let me know. Is this real? Is this real? Let's see here.
President Trump cutting off trade talks with Canada over an ad.
Is Trump cutting off trade talks with Canada over an ad that they just released? And we're going to look at the ad, yo. The ad is crazy, yo. The ad is crazy. Yo, the fucking ad is crazy. We're going to check this ad out. It's crazy. Hold on.
Former President Ronald Reagan. And the new inflation report tonight showing inflation here in this country.
Is inflation up?
Climbing at its fastest rate since January.
Is that fact or is that not a fact? Is ABC News spreading, are they spreading gay tranny news or are they spreading factual news? Are they spreading Al-Qaeda news? Are they, what kind of news are they spreading? But is it factual? Is it factual? Is inflation going up? I mean, can you feel it in your pockets, American citizens? I'm curious. Even the trolls, can you feel it in your pocket? Let's hear. Let's see, David, is inflation up or not? Is inflation up, David Golden Duck? That sounds like a fake ass troll name, but is inflation up? Can you feel it or is inflation down? You tell us. You're the expert.
Beef prices, for one, soaring.
Beef prices, for one, soaring. What does that mean? Does it mean you're paying more for cow meat? Is that what that means? Or does it mean you're paying less for cow meat? Is it real news or is it fake news? Is it Al-Qaeda tranny news or is it actual news for just everybody that's factual inside of the United States? You let me know, because some of the trolls think that it's Al-Qaeda tranny news. Who knows?
Tropical storm Melissa gaining strength in the Atlantic. A hurricane by tomorrow, expected to be a major Category 4 by Sunday. The new models.
Oh, shit. I mean, and this is terrible because typically as a nation with 350 million people, that gives our government a lot of power. It means we produce a large military, believe it or not. That's one of the reasons why we have a lot of footprint over the globe, but that's one of the reasons why we have such a large military, because we have a lot more people on average paying in to one system, although that could change if we want it to change. we could break into 2 and 3 and 4 different countries and that would have much smaller militaries and collect less federal dollars independently, each one of them. If we want to do that, if MAGA people think that's a good idea, we could do that. You know what I'm saying? Right now, they hold all the dice, the MAGA people. So let's follow their lead on things. But, typically we would have some charity for nations in our region that are, having, dealing with hurricanes and things like that, that have tiny economies, tiny militaries that just don't generate enough, and that we in some ways benefit from, too, because, again, these are not enemies of the United States of America that are getting hit here by this. I mean, you might be able to say Cuba is a somewhat adversary, but I wouldn't say that. When was the last time Cuba has attacked the United States of America? I mean, no. And again, I would say the biggest attack on the United States of America in the last, 30 years has been, what's the guy's name? The Oklahoma FBI building bombing. What's his name? I mean, he blew the fuck up out of the Oklahoma FBI building. Timothy McVeigh. I mean, he really killed a lot of people, and he did it out of frustration and hate for the FBI and the United States government. You see, so McVeigh, he really, he got at the United States government more than any Cuban ever has. You see what I mean? So let's go.
Just in tonight, the potential track of this storm. The alarming scene outside a Coast Guard base. Police opening fire during a protest, a U-Haul truck backing up into the gate.
Oh, yeah, excuse me. 9/11 happened, but a lot of MAGA people think that was the U.S. government, so that doesn't count. A lot of MAGA people think that 9/11 was the U.S. government. A lot of Trump supporters think that that was a Cheney and Bush thing. So MAGA voters typically believe that was a Bush-Cheney event because they watch Russian, disinformation channels that taught them that, that was Bush and Cheney. How could Cheney know that the Air Force was out doing operations over here at the time of 9/11? They must have had something to do with it. Or they think it was the Jews of America. They don't really think it was, Al Qaeda or, they actually think it was Cheney. So, yeah, I actually believe it was Al Qaeda. It was, a foreign threat that did it. But Trump supporters don't believe that. So that's off the table, 9/11. So if you remove 9/11, Timothy McVeigh would have been the biggest attack on the United States of America on U.S. soil. And either one of them, 9/11 or McVeigh, far outweigh any attack that Cuba has ever in the history made against the United States of America. That's my point.
It comes after jarring images showing a minister hit in the face by a flashbang.
Damn, a minister hit in the face by a flashbang. Wow. Okay, let's back this one up here.
The alarming scene outside a Coast Guard base. Police opening fire during a protest, a U-Haul truck backing up into the gate. It comes after...
let me know, is that live ammunition? This is just a breakdown before we go into some of the details. But is that live ammunition? Is that live ammunition that they used on, or is that rubber bullets? Which one? Let me know. Damn. This shit is just out of hand, man.
Jarring images showing a minister hit in the face by a flashbang. A National Guard plane coming down across a highway, hitting power lines and crashing. A Delta passenger jet forced to abort takeoff.
Somebody here that is acting like a petulant child, Mrs. Spicoli, says, why the F are you asking us? How the F would we know? Do you all agree? Are you all in the chat misinformed or uninformed? None of you know anything in the chat. Do you agree with her? And then again, I don't know everything. I never said I know everything, but let me just because of the craziness of this comment. Here we go. Let's see here. Let me just time her out for 5 minutes. Boom. You could be a little bit nicer now. Come on, y'all. Be reasonable. I'm not claiming to know everything. And every once in a while, people in the chat, in my chat, since a lot of them are very educated, very intelligent, and do follow the news, a lot of them actually often do know stuff. So hope you don't mind if I ask the chat sometime, while I also inform people in the chat and the listeners of some stuff. Sometimes they haven't heard of some of the things I'm bringing up. So, it goes both ways. I'm not here by myself, y'all. You know what I'm saying?
Flames shooting from the right engine. The system-wide...
Okay, damn. Look at that. You hear that? This is some plane activity here. Now, let me see
the
something.
right engine. The system-wide Delta passenger jet forced to a National Guard plane coming down across a highway, hitting power lines and crashing.
God damn. A National Guard plane. Okay.
A Delta passenger jet forced to abort takeoff. Flames shooting from the right engine. The system-wide outage canceling hundreds of flights, travelers stranded for hours. What Alaska Airlines is now saying tonight. New York Attorney General Letitia James.
Okay, so this is Alaska Airlines. Alaska's part of the U.S. In case some of you don't know, they've been having major floodings. Like a serious portion of Alaska was flooded in the last, 72 hours. They got some serious issues there right now with moving around the nation, people being able to get evacuations and stuff like that. But
James pleading not guilty tonight, accusing the Justice Department of being, quote, used as a tool of revenge. Here in New York City, the heated race for mayor, one day after Andrew Cuomo laughed after a radio host said Zohran Mamdani would cheer if there was another 9/11. Tonight, Mamdani, before the cameras, responding. His personal and at times emotional message for voters here. Tonight in Boston, there's been a deadly crane collapse. At least 2 people have been killed. This evening, the recall, the popular wipes, now being recalled because of a possible risk of serious infection. And tonight, you'll see it, the extraordinary rescue.
okay, damn. Now let me just move forward. I actually thought that that one right there with the wipes. I don't know how many of you are women. A lot. There's maybe like 30% of my listeners are women. But it just made me a little concerned because apparently this wipes thing is supposed to be a makeup remover. Right. I don't know how many of you are familiar with that product on the shelves, but to me, that kind of stood out among, a lot of the other crazy stuff. But because these kind of bacteria and things like that can spread, so yeah.
Good evening. Will you begin tonight with the breaking news? The Trump administration ramping up its military crackdown on suspected drug boats heading into the U.S. A huge escalation in this operation. The Pentagon now deploying an entire aircraft carrier strike group to the waters off Central and South America. The move coming hours after Secretary Pete Hegseth posted new video showing the latest strike on an alleged drug boat in the Caribbean. At least 6 people killed. The boat was off of Venezuela. It's the 3rd such attack this week, the 10th since the operation began last month. Now the U.S. military is sending the USS Gerald Ford carrier group to the region, thousands of U.S. troops on board. ABC's Martha Raddatz leading us off tonight.
Let me ask, Mahera, what state are you from? What state did you grow up in? I'm just curious, because Mahera seems to be like, MAGA, F in Punix 91. Where are you from? You say F Democrats. I say F fucking MAGA heads. F them too. Fuck y'all. You guys don't earn enough to, complain, basically. You don't earn enough you don't give enough to the federal budget to complain as much as you do. Okay, so.
Tonight, a U.S. aircraft carrier and multiple warships now steaming towards the Caribbean. A dramatic escalation in what President Trump calls his war on drug cartels. This as a deadly new airstrike obliterated a suspected drug boat. Secretary Pete Hegseth posting video of that overnight attack, the boat taking a direct hit, exploding in flames.
Somebody in the chat asked, how do they know? Here, let me put this up on the, here it is. Look, see it? It's up on the screen now. How do they know there was 6 people on the boat? Good question. But I got to tell you, in my experience in watching the news, usually what happens is it's actually the Pentagon that tells people stuff and then the news reports it You see what I mean? So, that's what it sounds like to me. Like they're actually using the information that the Pentagon presented to the public. But that's what my guess would be. But maybe this is unusual here.
Hegseth saying at least 6 people were killed, claiming without evidence the boat was being operated by Tren de Aragua, a designated terrorist organization. It's the
My question would be, how did they know it was Trend Aragua? Like, that would also be important to know. How do you know that? ABC News, again, it's because this is what the U.S. government has said themselves.
The 10th known military attack on alleged drug boats, including 2 in the eastern Pacific Ocean off Central America. And tonight, the orders for that new, ferocious show of force.
No, I don't see the drugs. That's a good point. I don't see the drugs. I don't see a sign that says, hey, y'all, we're Tren Aragua. Hey, did you know we're transporting drugs right now? No, there's no signs. So these are good questions. How do they know? I don't know. ABC doesn't know, but ABC is just reporting what the U.S. government says under the Trump administration. So I think it's lies.
The USS Ford Carrier Strike Group heading to the region. That carrier bristling with firepower, including F-18 fighter jets, missile launchers, and attack submarines, adding some 5,000 American forces to the 10,000 already in the region.
Look, adding 5,000 to the 10,000 already in the region. I mean, listen, they're acting like this is some sort of major escalation. This is regular shit. I mean, I really don't understand it. I mean, you can't just throw. Do you understand how much these ships, these jets cost? How much the fuel costs you as a taxpayer? Again, listen, you could also drop a nuclear bomb if you think that's smart to stop the drug trafficking. How many of you think that the Trump administration should drop a nuclear bomb to stop the drugs being transported, if that's what they allege? But would it be economical? Would it be wise? Would it be destructive? Would it be a misuse of finances? Would it disturb life in the United States in ways that people have never seen before, in negative ways? Those are questions worth asking if you want to drop a nuclear bomb. Now, it would likely stop drug transportations from that immediate region, but would it stop people from using drugs? Would it stop drugs from coming from somewhere else? I mean, probably not. Probably not. But to me, it seems like just another day at the Trump administration spending taxpayer dollars.
President Trump, who has said land attacks could be next, pressed if he will seek a declaration of war.
I don't think we're going to necessarily ask for a declaration of war. I think we're just going to kill people that are bringing drugs into our country.
While the vast majority...
Oh, yeah, that was well said by Trump. I don't think we're going to ask for a declaration of war. I think we're just going to kill people that are smuggling drugs into our country. So is Trump waging war right now? What is the U.S. military for? Is it for war? Is this not the War Department under Pete Hegseth or Kegbreath? Is it? I mean, what's going on here? They seem to be like not too sure. Now, it's because Trump doesn't feel confident that Congress, even his own majority MAGA Republican Congress, would support it. I mean, yeah, and I think they would be right in not supporting it. And I think he's right for not asking them, because it would be exposed to the public that they don't. And that would create a fracture in the MAGA movement again. And Trump doesn't want that. So he's going to avoid it.
Republican lawmakers support the president's actions against cartels. Concern is growing.
You can't randomly just blow up the enemy without identifying them and accusing them of crime unless you're at war.
David, we have seen.
Oh, really? Is that a fact? Can you not do that? Or can you? Is that true what he said, that you can't just blow up the enemy without declaring war? Is that a fact? If that's a fact, put a 1 in the chat. If that's a Democrat lie, put a 2 in the chat. Just curious. 1, if if it was true that you can't just blow up the enemy without declaring war. And 2, And two, if it's incorrect, it is just a Democrat lie. I mean, to me, it seems like a reasonable statement. I don't know, with the war enemy, Trump is Trump's own terminology. I mean, he seems to be flip-flopping on what he wants to do.
We've seen these airstrikes again and again on these boats the administration says are carrying drugs, but President Trump is now threatening land strikes on drug cartels, which those fighter jets on the carrier.
Okay, so MAGA people, because I know Dems, although Democrats are a wide pool of different, type of, people that have different policy issues, a broad landscape of policy issues. The MAGA people seem more narrow in their approach to policy, right? So I'm going to ask the MAGA supporters right now, do you want Trump to bomb land in, wherever he says these drug traffickers are? Do you want Trump to do that? Only MAGA people now, only Trump supporters. Do you approve of Trump bombing one of these countries? Put a 1 in the chat if you do. Put a 2 in the chat if you don't. Only Trump supporters. Only Trump supporters. I really want to know what the Trump supporters think, or the trolls, because, obviously there's a lot of Russian trolling and Chinese trolling on the internet these days that pretend to be American citizens. So, but we all know that, so we can factor that in. We always deduct 20% from it. Do you support it? Yeah, and let me know what state you're from. I'm talking about American citizen Trump supporters. I'm not talking about ones that are in other troll farms from other countries. Okay. Let me know what city you from. Jay Johnson, what city you from? Kendall Tarrant, what city you from? Shan Foreman, what city you from? Lazarus, what city you from? Honey Rule said no. Okay, that's good. And she's a Trump supporter. Katie Zimmer, what city you from? Pamela agrees, what city you from? Okay, yeah. Kansas City. Okay, Ohio loves Trump and Cleveland. Okay, well, you're really going to love these hospitals shutting down.
Are fully capable of carrying out. David?
Martha Raddatz leading us off on a Friday night. Martha, thank you. Tonight, day 24 of this government shutdown. Report showing inflation in this country rising at its fastest pace since last January.
Oh, I may as well ask that now. How many of you are happy to see the hospitals shutting down in rural America? If you're happy to see the hospitals shutting down in rural America, put a 1 in the chat. If you're not happy, put a 2 in the chat. Same folks, just Trump supporters. Are you happy to see that? Are you happy? Are you happy to see the hospitals shutting down in rural America, the United States, or no? I'm curious about that, because in my mind, that's just like bombing rural America, but hey, somebody said what hospitals? Let me see here. Yeah, somebody said what hospitals, right, because there's a lot of people that don't follow the news necessarily when it comes out. But listen, these states right here, they are getting bombed right here. This is the big new bill. These people and also where these people live, these hospitals are about to be shut down. You can see the majority are red states because of the healthcare situation. So, right. So I'm talking about those hospitals in largely Republican states. This is rural America. Listen, 75% of the hospitals that will be affected are in rural United States of America. So there you have it, those states. And I'm a little curious how somebody wouldn't know that, because, again, that's reported on ABC News, unless they think ABC News is lying, which a lot of Trump supporters do. So
up 3% last month compared to a year ago. Prices rising, beef prices soaring. Economists say the tariffs are partly to blame. And tonight, President Trump cutting off trade talks with Canada over an ad featuring Ronald Reagan, what he says in the ad. Here's Elizabeth Schulze tonight.
Tonight, President Trump abruptly launching a new trade war with Canada, declaring all trade negotiations with Canada are hereby terminated.
Is this a fact? Are all trade relations with Canada now terminated by Trump? Are they terminated? Is that a fact? Put a 1 in the chat. And this is everybody, no matter who you support. If that's a fact, if Trump actually announced it, if his administration actually announced that, put a 1 in the chat. If he did not announce it, if it's a flat out Democrat, liberal, tranny, homosexual, alien conspiracy, put a 2 in the chat. Okay, let's play that back. I'm trying to speak the MAGA vernacular, right? Because they tend to be fixated on that.
Since last January, up 3% last month compared to a year ago, prices rising, beef prices soaring. Economists say the tariffs are partly to blame, and tonight President Trump cutting off trade talks with Canada over an ad featuring Ronald Reagan, what he says in the ad. Here's Elizabeth Schulze tonight.
Okay, so he's cutting off trade talks. I don't even know what the hell that means. That just means like some petulant child shit. I'm not talking to you. I'm going to be indecisive. I won't let you know where I stand on anything. In other words, he's being passive aggressive.
Tonight, President Trump abruptly launching a new trade war with Canada, declaring all trade negotiations with Canada are hereby terminated. The president infuriated by this ad produced by the province of Ontario, which uses the words of former President Ronald Reagan.
High tariffs inevitably lead to retaliation by foreign countries and the triggering of fierce trade wars.
Trump posting accusing Canada of trying.
Damn! So Reagan, he said that tariffs, actually trigger trade wars and have adverse effects. Let's hear that one more time.
The retaliation by foreign countries,
which uses the words of former President Ronald Reagan.
High tariffs inevitably lead to retaliation by foreign countries and the triggering of fierce trade wars.
Trump posting accusing Canada of trying to illegally influence the United States Supreme Court, which is set to hear arguments in 2 weeks on whether the president's sweeping tariffs are constitutional. Canada's Prime Minister sounding resigned.
We can't control the trade policy of the United States.
Trump's tariffs are now beginning to affect the prices we pay for everything from furniture to clothes to groceries. A new government report shows inflation is picking up, prices increasing 3% from last year. The typical American household is now spending an extra $208 per month.
Well, it's interesting. Look at this. Someone said something about Reagan. What is this? Look here. Let me put this up. Jay Johnson says it's what year now? How long since Reagan was in office? Aha, Reagan. That's interesting that you say that when the conversation is about tariffs with Canada. However, what was Reagan's policy with Central and South America? Do you see any alignment with Trump's policy with Central? How Trump is approaching it? Listen, Reagan's policy on South America, Central America, has been rolled back like heavily. Trump is the one to change that standard. A lot of progress has been made in relations with the U.S. and South America and Central America. Things have changed dramatically over the years, but it looks like Trump is trying to roll that back, because instead of working with them, right, on actually stopping shit, right, obviously burning down coca leaves and all of that didn't work because it's bad for the ecology of those countries, because they're natural plants. But they found other ways to partner up and to produce industry to offset some of the poverty, because poverty is pretty much what was driving it. And on top of that, the fact that United States Americans seem to like drugs, because a lot of them are importing the shit themselves, too. I mean, these narco gangs are partly Americans, and Americans are also selling them weapons, in return. A lot of American citizens are selling narco gangs weapons, which is also problematic. But these two things kind of go in hand. So it's a symbiotic relationship there. But I don't know about that one, John. I don't think it's just about how long ago Reagan was. I think it's about right now. Are American companies feeling the effects of tariffs? How do you build American infrastructure up if you can't source the products for your own machines? Does that speed up the process to build manufacturers in the U.S., or does it slow it down? And I think, if you look into the details, you might think, wow, you know what? The tariffs are having an adverse effect on American industry and way more then it's helping American and U.S. industry. But let's hear some more.
Lena Duda, a mother of a second grader, says she's feeling it.
This gallon of milk is $2 more than it was.
Like a month ago. Yeah.
At the grocery store, tariffs are hitting imported foods. Coffee prices surging 41% in the past year. Lettuce up 21%. Sirloin steak up 20%.
How much did you pay for your groceries today?
$55.
More or less than last month?
Maybe 5 or 10% more.
That's a pretty big difference.
Yeah, I'm not happy with it.
It comes as the government shutdown drags into day 24 with no end in sight. Today, more than 500,000 workers missed their first full paycheck, many of them employees at the Pentagon.
You know what? I see a lot of folks, they're not into what they're talking about right now. Like, this is about how it affects the United States citizens and in your pockets. Does this trade war affect your pockets positively or negatively? So please just let me know if this trade war affects your pockets positively, and I'm only talking to American citizens, and let me know what state you're in. If it affects you positively, Trump's trade war, put a 1 in the chat. If it affects you negatively, put a 2 in the chat, and both leave the state that you're from. I'm just curious about this because people can talk about, a lot of different stuff. But right now, I want to know, because this is right now. This is policy right now you're being affected by. You can change this right now. This is central to everybody. Whether you agree with bombing Venezuela may not be central. Whether you agree with, some other things may not be central. But this shit is central. Like, everyone's going to have to pay more or less in the stores. You all share the same grocery stores. So is it going to affect you negatively or positively? And let me know the state you come from, just so we can go back and review the information. It's important to mention the state. Ted East, mention your state. Honey Rules, mention your state. Is this going to affect your pockets positively or negatively? And you could say positive or negative too, if that's easier to remember. Wisconsin, okay, I see you here. Mike Avery, is this going to affect this trade war? Does it affect your pockets positively or negatively? Cheryl, is it positively or negatively? Honey Rules, positively or negatively? Let me see here. What does BITS say? Like, does the concept of supply and demand somehow not apply to the drug trade? Yeah, for real. It's all supply and demand. It's all supply and demand. It's important to understand that, I don't understand how Americans want to sell, U.S. Americans want to sell their products to other without expecting that others might want to sell their products to Americans. To me, it seems simple. You can't make everything yourself. Somebody else is going to make something better than you. Somebody else is going to make something better and cheaper than you. Why? Because they may have more of something naturally than you have. And trade, to me, there should be a symbiotic relationship in both imports and exports. Now, if you're importing something that comes halfway from around the globe, then you obviously have to pay to transport it. So that's an added tax. But if you can have positive relationships with your neighbors that are closer to you, guess what? You're winning even more because you're paying less transportation fees on it. So you're getting the same product, or maybe a better product, or a product without that transportation cost that you can pass on to the people that are buying it, both ways. So again, I see Trump as trying to divide America, Canada, U.S., Mexico, Central America, the rest of Central America, Caribbean, and South America from each other, when we have more to gain from each other and we have very close cultural ties together. Our history is pretty much aligned together, and our culture, our religion, our cultural practices are pretty much aligned. The only thing that may differ is Canada, they have 2 languages, French and Canadian. They like a lot of maple syrup because they got a lot of maple trees. Okay, I like maple syrup. Why the fuck would I want to buy maple syrup from somebody else that makes it better than me? Nah, I will order maple syrup from Canada anywhere I live in the world. I order it here in Copenhagen, Denmark. Shit. Why? Because it's great. Right. So it's the same thing. Like, although I pay for it over here because it has to be transported, but I don't get why Americans got a lot of natural resources. Americans have a lot of nature. They have a lot of like Colombia, for number one. People, when you think about Trump arguing with Colombia, yo, understand something. Colombia is number 2 in biodiversity in the world. More animal and plant life than anywhere else in the world. I mean, number 2. So that should come to your mind when you think of medicine. That should come to your mind when you think of agriculture, because of course you need insects and animals to help support the agriculture too, So these kind of things, I don't see where Trump is going with it, but you just let me know if you like where Trump is going with this tariff thing and you think it's positive. Say, continue to support it. I don't. I'm totally against it. So.
HHS and the VA. Another 700,000 plus people will miss their first full paycheck next week. At this food bank in Alexandria, Virginia, a furloughed worker at the Department of Defense telling us that she feels like a pawn in the game.
This distribution is happening every Friday as long as the government shutdown happens.
Furious that lawmakers are getting their paychecks, but she's not.
They need to go without a paycheck. They need to get low on food so they can understand what we're dealing with.
Okay, so should they go without a paycheck? Should they go without food so they could understand why we're doing this? Let me hear that over one more time.
Furious that lawmakers are getting their paychecks, but she's not.
They need to go without a paycheck. They need to get low on food so they can understand what we're dealing with. It's not fair. It's just not fair.
David, again, this is day 24 of...
Damn. Let me hear that one more time. Okay, let me see. Mike Avery says, sorry, America is fucked. Just look at what Ronald Reagan had to say about tariffs. And if you don't believe him, good old Ronnie's message, that you're not a true Republican. Yeah, true. I agree with you. And, it's interesting because on some issues where Democrats are today is where Reagan was in some ways. Like this thing about no tariffs and free trade, open trade, that has always been a typical Republican thing, right? And but Democrats, they actually supported strongly in the last couple of decades after Trump. Americans decided that free trade, we have the advantage. We make a lot of products, and we produce things that engineering, for example, right? On the science level that the rest of the world buys and picks up on. We're strong in that. So why wouldn't we want to trade? And it seems like a lot of American voters miss that part. They miss where our GDP was going up under Biden and going up for the last few years. Before that, how the U.S. GDP has been going up consistently since the 90s, the 80s. I mean, it's gone up consistently for a while, but for some reason, it seems like all the things that made the U.S. economy strong, right, which people pay back into in your federal taxes. If your economy is stronger, then you have employment up and things like that. Typically, that's what that would be, a balance in it. It seems like Trump is trying to challenge those ideas and dismantle them for some reason. And but let's see here. But listen to this comment again.
Distribution's happening every Friday as long as the government shutdown happens.
Furious that lawmakers are getting their paychecks, but she's not.
They need to go without a paycheck. They need to get low on food so they can understand what we're dealing with.
So this is 2 different perspectives here being represented. Listen to this. Look.
A pawn in the game.
This distribution is happening every Friday as long as the government shutdown happens.
Furious that lawmakers are getting their paychecks, but she's not.
They need to go without a paycheck. They need to get low on food so they can understand what we're dealing with.
So should Congress go without a paycheck? I believe that's what they're talking about. Should Congress go without a paycheck? Let's see here. The people that get paid right now are Trump, Caroline Leavitt, MAGA Mike Johnson, Hakeem Jeffries, Schumer, all congressional and senators, congressional members, House members, senator or Congress, they all get paid right now. Trump gets paid. Caroline Levitt gets paid. A lot of other people in the, on the federal government, Kash Patel gets paid. All those administrative people that he led to be directors, heads of agencies, they get paid, right? They're heads of federal government. Now, military doesn't really get paid. That has to be fixed by, they have to find special ways to temporarily pay people, just like ICE. They have to find special ways to temporarily pay people. Do you think that Congress and the president's staff, right, Caroline Levitt, all of these people, Kash Patel, do you think their pay should be cut also? Or do you think they should continue to get paid? Congress should continue to get paid. The Senate should continue to get paid. Caroline Levitt should continue to get paid. Trump and whoever else, Kash Patel, should continue to get paid. Do you think they should continue to be paid during the shutdown? Let me know. Somebody said Trump doesn't get paid. Man, stop spreading lies. Trump gets paid. Okay, it's the law. He must be paid by law. What are you talking about? Whatever he does is his own business, but that money goes into his account every month. So there it is. Stop lying, BG Free. Okay. Our servicemen and women are being paid. No, they're being paid through it's only through special actions, but those special actions won't go on forever, and there it is, Yeah, well, where's the proof he donates it? Have you ever read one article that says he donated it? I've never seen it. And please feel free to share it on your channel if you have, Trump does get paid. It's the law. It is the law. Kash Patel gets paid based on the same law that Trump gets paid. If it's not law, Kash Patel would not get paid, Yeah, there it is. It amazes me how many people think Trump doesn't get paid when he does get paid, and Trump will tell you every time that he will donate it. But the law is he gets paid. There's no way you can get around it. It's only the Congress that decides that. Congress and the Senate, they decide who gets paid by passing laws, and the president signs it. That's how it's done. OK, you don't just up and walk out the door like Trump often likes to do from day to day and just say, I do it my way. Yeah, but you have to change everything else for it to happen your way. OK, let's go on.
It's not fair. It's just not fair.
David, again, this is day 24 of the government shutdown, and right now Republicans and Democrats don't even seem to be talking to each other. President Trump leaves tonight for a summit in Asia. David.
And as you point out, these American workers fully aware.
Hey, look, he gave Argentina. How many of you are happy with the Argentina getting 20 to maybe $40 billion now? If you're happy with that, Trump, I want to say Trump supporters only now. Trump supporters. Because I can see it's a lot of Trumpians here today, so just liberals, Democrats, I'm one of you, but let's let these people talk for a second. Let's let them have their space and their chance to have power, right? And to tell us what they're worth, right? Since they're here. Do you agree with Trump giving Argentina $20 to $40 billion and importing Argentina beef? Put a 1 in the chat if you agree. Put a 2 in the chat if you don't. Only Trump supporters. What's up, Eric? If you agree with Trump giving Argentina 20 billion to 40 billion US dollars and importing Argentina beef, put a 1 in the chat. Put a 2 in the chat if you don't. Only Trump supporters, please. If you agree, put a 1 in the chat, Trump supporters. If you agree with giving Argentina 20 to 40 billion dollars and importing Argentina beef to the U.S., put a 1 in the chat. If you don't agree, put a 2 in the chat. Only Trump supporters. If you agree with Trump giving Argentina, as he's done it, somebody said, what's the context? The context is what Trump has done. That's the context. He just gave Argentina 20 to 40 Okay, $1 billion under his context. And he wants to import Argentina beef under his context. If you agree with Trump under his context, put a 1 in the chat. If you don't agree, put a 2 in the chat. Only Trump supporters, please. It's like, what the hell? That's why I say, what is the context of that question? What the you don't listen to your own president? What the fuck? Just don't answer if you don't listen, to your own president. What the hell, man? What the hell? Exactly. They got foot and mouth disease going on. Anyway, they got diseases about to break out all across the U.S. while hospitals are being closed in rural areas. This is where bag of folk are going. But listen, put a 1 again. Put a 1 in the chat. Put a 1 in the chat if you agree. I'm giving people some time, so I'm going to repeat myself. Put a 1 in the chat if you agree with Trump giving Argentina $20 to $40 billion and importing Argentina beef to the United States. Put a 1 in the chat if you agree. Put a 2 in the chat if you don't. Only Trump supporters. Let me see here. See, it's funny because a lot of Trump supporters don't like to answer questions. Here we go. 40 billion from the poorest Americans who pay taxes. Yeah, that's their money. 40 billion. That money's coming from the U.S. taxpayer. And even though a lot of red states are taker states in federal tax dollars, it's their money too. The tax dollars they pay, federal tax dollars they pay out of their monthly check, weekly check, whatever, every hour they go to work. Yeah, this is their money going to it. So I'm just curious, but it's the same with the hospitals. A lot of them support hospitals closing in their towns, Okay, here we go. So Curry's a Trump supporter, but he doesn't agree. Soul Music I believe, is a Trump supporter. That question was only to Trump supporters, by the way. Hawk is a Trump supporter, but he doesn't agree. He said if it costs. Who the hell said if it costs? Anyway, I'm not even going to comment on that. Okay, so let me see here. What are bits? Bits says losing all access to emergency maternity care in rural Americans will have lasting impact. Yo, pregnant mothers. I mean, do we want to produce American babies or do we not want to? Do we want to import babies? I mean, I don't know where this government is going with this shit. It seems to be all over the place, Bits. But again, it's all up to voters to decide what they want. If they don't want hospitals in rural America, then hey, they vote for it. They vote to close those hospitals. They voted for Trump, and Trump's going to close those hospitals. So that's what you get, what you vote for. And if you don't vote, hey, you better consider voting unless the law is stopping you. Just got another shipment of soybeans. Yeah, China is doing well right now. They got their shipment of soybeans from Argentina, like, bow. So and guess what? Argentina, man, their government, their elite class has been so corrupt. I mean, can you imagine not being able to make the country can't stand strong. It's strategically positioned. It has great amounts of natural resources, and yet they bankrupt. They've been bankrupt as a norm. Trump just sent them $20 to $40 billion. Man, they were only broke because that's how they want the goddamn place, the elitists. It's like, it's like the rest of these authoritarian and corrupt regimes, The country looks broke, but they're just raking in billions under the table and hiding it somewhere else, It's sad, man. It's really sad, but let's go on here.
Congress is still getting paid, Elizabeth. Set to become a hurricane by tomorrow and a major Category 4 hurricane by Sunday night.
Okay, for the record, I support Congress. I support the Democrats not agreeing with Trump's proposed or with Trump's big, beautiful bill. And one of the reasons is the disaster that it's going to have on healthcare. That's one of the main reasons. And I support that. I think if the Democrats go along with that, the harm on especially rural America is going to be even deeper. And I think, unfortunately, a lot of those rural American voters didn't pay attention to what they were voting for. But that doesn't mean Democrats should just sit back and give them what they want, because really they're looking for a total disaster, and it's going to hit them the hardest, the rural Americans the hardest. And I just think if you got a family member that lives in one of those states, all the voters didn't vote for Trump in rural America. All the voters didn't vote to have hospitals closed down. Some of them understood the effects of what would happen if they voted for Trump and didn't, but the majority did. And that's what folks are going to have to live with. Now, unfortunately, those states, in a lot of cases, are taker states. They take more federal dollars than they produce. So their states won't be able to compensate the losses. A lot of the blue states are giver states. They generate more federal tax dollars than they use, right? And it goes out to other states. They're in a better position to compensate on the state level, where the rural states are not. They're in almost no position to do it.
Jamaica bracing for
All right,
flooding,
now
mudslides, power outages.
Let me just get out of this.
James pleading not guilty to federal charges, one of President Trump's top targets.
I kind of know how this is going to go. With the MAGA supporters, they hate Letitia James, period. They don't know a lot about the case. They just hate her. She's a woman. She's a black woman. She prosecuted Trump. All those are negatives and not worth even discussing the details to a lot of MAGA supporters. So I'm not going to waste a whole lot of people's time. I support Letitia. She's not afraid. She did her job. She supported. She also prosecuted Democrats. By the way, look at this guy, the mayor of New York. I mean, what the hell? And Trump overturned Trump gave the motherfucker a pardon. Or no, Trump got the federal government to drop his prosecution. So Trump supporters, do you agree that the mayor of New York was given a free pass by Trump? Do you agree with that move to drop the charges against Eric Adams? Trump supporters only. Do you agree that the federal government dropped the charges against Eric Adams, the charges that were already going on previously before Trump put his fingers in it? So this is the flip-flopping. MAGA people tend to like corruption. They have the gay guy who was a congressional member, went to jail with charges, committed fraud, had been prosecuted under the Biden administration. Trump just pardons him. Trump pardoned him, let him out of jail. I forget the guy's name, so excuse me if I use gay as a something to help folks remember who he is. But now, I don't have anything against what he does himself, but or his lifestyle like that is not my business. But the fact is that he committed crimes and was pardoned by Trump. I mean, Trump tends to let off criminals, whether they're Democrat or Republican. Look at Eric Adams. He let Eric Adams off. Eric Adams is charged with corruption by his own peers, by New Yorkers. I mean, if somebody was prosecuted in another state for fraud like that, and you have a clear case, why would I coming from another state want that person to not be prosecuted of crimes? Trump is about to pardon Ghislaine Maxwell. You guys support that? I mean, now this is just for everybody. Trump supporters. Do you support Trump pardoning Ghislaine Maxwell? Do you want Trump to pardon Ghislaine Maxwell? If you want Trump to pardon Ghislaine Maxwell, put a 1 in the chat and say yes. If you want Trump to put a 1 in the chat and mention your state. If you want Trump to pardon Ghislaine Maxwell, put a 1 in the chat and mention your state. If you don't, put a 2 in the chat and mention your state. This is just about Ghislaine Maxwell. Do you want Trump to pardon Ghislaine Maxwell? Put a 1 in the chat. The chat goes on replay after an hour after the video ends. So people that want to see the chat replay, go back, do their analytical work and review it. You're free to after an hour. It will pop up again. For the first hour, it doesn't. It takes the stream a little while after it ends for it to produce the chat again. But it is on replay for those of y'all that want to do that. Now, if you're a Trump supporter and you support Trump pardoning Ghislaine Maxwell, put a 1 in the chat. If you're a Trump supporter and you don't, put a 2 in the chat. I'm just curious, because Trump is going to pardon her ass if you ask me. But I want to know because there's a lot of Trump supporters that changed their mind about Trump too. So there are many. Here we go. So there's people that so it seems like MAGA is kind of split over this. Put your state in the chat too. Newcastle 28. Okay. Epstein still alive. Okay. So do you support? See, what I noticed is that the trolls, and I would think these are trolls. You know, some of the people in the chat are real Americans and are MAGA supporters, but the trolls don't like to participate in anthropological work. So that's why they don't like to answer the one or two questions, because they know it reveals later their troll status. You know what I'm saying? So last time I'm just going to say, for the real Americans, if you support Trump pardoning Ghislaine Maxwell, put a 1 in the chat. Real American Trump supporters. If you don't, put a 2 in the chat. Let me prepare the next strip. This is going to be funny with Trump here. Do you see that? A lot of them. Here you go. Oh, you got to log off bits? Okay. I'm struggling to keep my eyes on. Okay, yeah. Thanks for coming out, too. I appreciate you, too, also. Yeah. Where's Tia at? Look. Yeah, thanks, Steve. There you go. Listen, there are real Trump supporters in the chat. Then there's also some trolls, you know. So I just noticed that after a while, you get good at noticing how certain people don't answer questions. They're only here to make statements, and they know why they're doing that. So here we go. Yep. So now, again, Jay Johnson, do you support Trump pardoning Ghislaine Maxwell, Jay Johnson, or do you not support it? Yo, Johnson, Jason John Media, peace to you, bro. I appreciate that. Yeah, let me know. Of course, there's more nuanced questions, but let's start off with the Ghislaine Maxwell and what you support. And if it's too hard for you to answer, say it's too hard for you to answer, because that's also an answer. Now, okay. Well, finally, Jay answered. You see what I mean? Jay left about 15 statements. You're only asking because of this. You think this. You that's not true. This is that. It's like, goddamn, Jay. Thank you. Finally, you know, he shouldn't pardon her. Thank you. Finally. Okay. Yo, damn, who is this right here? Yo, I appreciate you also. Shackney Dam, appreciate you. Yeah, okay, so look, let's get on to the, don't say of course, Jay. They ain't no of course. You Trump people might be, you're different. You all don't share the same beliefs. You all have different opinions, so I need to know. I'm asking because I ask everybody. I never assume. That's why I ask. Assuming is for assholes. I know that there's trolls in the chat. That's just part of internet life, and it is what it is. Now, I'm glad you're not a troll. So if that's the case, but look at this. Let's get on to this. What was this?
I think it's got to be handled in a proper way. If it's not handled in a proper way, we don't want it to happen again. We can never let what happened in the 2020 election happen again.
So this is Trump talking about the what his administration should do about upcoming elections. Look at this.
Just can't let that happen. And so
he's flipping out of his mind. He don't even know what he's talking about, though. But here,
the way we go, I know Cash is working on it. Everybody's working on it, and certainly Tulsi's working on it. We can't let that happen again to our country. Look at what's happened, where you have millions of people being allowed to come into our country, all because of a crooked election, where they come from prisons, they come from jails, they come from mental institutions.
So this is Trump. It's Trump. He's mixing up everything in just one sentence. Yeah, hold on.
Insane asylums, they're drug dealers, the people that they've allowed to come into our...
Trump is talking about the election that he won. He doesn't even realize it. He's talking about every time Trump talks about an election, he he's winning them. There hasn't been one election that Trump has won where he didn't say himself that it was rigged. And here he is again talking. Okay, what's the
follow up on her question to you? Because the New York Times is reporting that your legal team is seeking $230 million from your own Justice Department now in response to the investigations into you.
So should the U.S. government give Trump $230 million that he claims he spent on his defense? If he should, oh man, oh my God, man, this is some funny shit. Oh, hold on. Soulful Music, yo, I appreciate that. What does Soulful Music say? Been trying to send a super chat. It won't let me. Yeah. Oh, sorry about that. Yeah, it's some systems are like that for some reason. Or it depends on what medium you're on and the different phones or whatever. Was trying to say I hate that pause. Definitely not MAGA. I'll never support a pause like him. I appreciate that. Yeah, President. I don't support. Yo, man. I'm not. I'm a Democrat myself. But I do know that Democrats are a wide tent. Democrats don't always agree on everything. So it's worth asking people, and it's the same with MAGA folks. They don't all agree. That's how you know real Americans, because real Americans know all MAGA people don't agree on everything. So, but it's important right now to know, because where people stand on issues, and if you don't ask them, then you don't really know, right? And I would think that whether a person supports Trump or not, that they would appreciate being asked a direct question, right? Instead of somebody assuming to know what they think, right? And I'm only doing that because I know how it is to be Democrat, to be a liberal, and have people assume that you support things that you don't support yourself, that you never said you supported yourself. And people just assume it because, hey, they like to generalize, But, also right now, I think that there's a lot of people change, whether you have a political party or not. People change. There are nuances. There are things that people adjust to over time when they have a chance to listen to debate, listen to conversation, and see outcomes. I really do believe a lot of Trump supporters are going to turn against Trump because they know they will see the effects of his policies. It takes 3 to 6 to 8 months, a year, before you fully start to experience the effects, not the full effects. But it takes about 8 months, 6 months, a year for the initial effects to kick in. And I think after that, people are going to be hit and really feeling it and change their minds. And for those people, I understand it, because politics can be a little tricky. Politics can be also kind of toxic at times. And that environment is all contrary to people listening to each other. That toxicity, that environment, that toxicity is contrary to people having conversations. And but I've learned that in doing activism myself before this election. The activism I've done in the past, it has nothing to do with elections in the United States of America. I live outside of the U.S. as an American, right? But I learned in that previous activism that the toxicity that some activists bring to the table is not good for the conversation. It's not actually good for the activism. And so I try to bring that approach to this conversation about my own country. And and I'm just doing what I do as a citizen of the U.S. I'm not any better than anybody else. And I don't feel I'm better, although I feel my situation personally is better. I mean, I have health care. My kids get paid to go to school. I have a union job. I get a fair wage. I enjoy my life pretty much. Where I live is pretty safe. I don't think about people getting robbed. I don't think about being hurt when I leave the house. My public transportation works excellently where I live. I can time it by the second every day, pretty much by the minute every day. right? These kind of things, I think about the quality of the food. The food is pretty safe where I live, not a lot of harmful products in the food. The government kind of regulates against those things. Yeah, there's elder care where I live. When I retire and I get old, I don't have to worry about elder care because it's paid inside of the tax system. Everyone contributes to it. These kind of things kind of change your perspective a little bit. So, that's what I hope I bring to the table. A little bit of civility, but also some humor, because I'm from the U.S. I'm from Washington, D.C. So I bring some of the humor I was brought up with. And sometimes it can be a little too much for some folks. But in any case, I appreciate that soulful music. I appreciate you. Yo, by the way, if you're doing some music, let me know about your music. Put the link to your music up here sometime and let folks know. Let me know in the chat so I can check it out. All right, I appreciate that. Now let's go back to this one here. Let's see.
Is that something you want your legal team to do?
I don't know what the numbers are. I don't even talk to them about it.
Okay, now do you guys agree that Trump should ask the U.S. government to compensate him for his legal fees, for his convictions? Let me know what you think about that. Let me just see here.
All I know is that they would owe me a lot of money, but I'm not looking for money. I'd give it to charity or something. I would give it to charity anyway. But look, what they did, they rigged the election. And as you know, we had, in one case, 60 Minutes had to pay us a lot of money. George Slobodanopoulos had to pay us a lot of money, and they already paid. They paid me a lot of money.
So,
follow up on her question to you.
Trump, he said that every election has been rigged. The one that he won, he's won 2 elections. He's claimed that those were rigged. The one that he lost, he claims that it was rigged, right? Right. And to me, it makes it difficult to understand what he means by rigged, right? When you believe all elections are rigged, before he won his first in 2016, he claimed that the election was rigged before he won. So it's hard to really follow Trump just because if he was a Democrat or not, if he was an independent, those comments that he makes would be hard to understand no matter who you are. If you claim elections that you win are rigged, it kind of means the one you lose wasn't. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? By default, that should be the default stance that you take, no matter who is saying it. If it's Hillary Clinton saying it, if it's Obama saying it, if it's Trump saying it, if it's Reagan saying it. But here, Trump wants you to believe all of them are rigged. And then he wants you to listen more to what he has to say about it.
The New York Times is reporting that your legal team is seeking $230 million from your own Justice Department now in response to the investigations into you. Is that something you want your legal team to do?
I don't know what the numbers are. I don't even talk to them about it. All I know is that they would owe me a lot of money, but I'm not looking for money. I'd give it to charity or something. I would give.
All right, so this is Trump's. These are some of his latest comments, 24 hours. Here's some more now. This is also, look at this here.
He doesn't really want the recognition, if you want to know the truth.
Now, this is who's going to pay for the White House, y'all. This is Trump and Trump commenting on who's going to pay for the White House. Thanks to Midas Touch for covering this also. Listen, Trump, it kills me, but I realize you got to have tough skin when dealing with MAGA politics. They will rip down the East Wing of the White House without consulting anybody and see it as their right. They will storm the Capitol building, threaten to hang Mike Pence, the vice president, and kill Nancy Pelosi. These are things that are just norms, right? You have to expect that they do stuff like this. They do ask questions later. They're the do stuff tough, ask questions litigated later to find out if it's legal or not. Now, it was illegal to storm the Capitol building that way. Thousands of people were prosecuted. Trump pardoned them all later when he won the election again, right? Which he says is rigged, But now he's ripped down the East Wing of the White House. This is the people's White House. This is the people's building. Every taxpayer in the history of the country has paid into this. Some people's families have been paying into this far longer than Trump's family. Trump is a second, I think, second or third generation immigrant. It depends on how you view that term specifically, but no greater than third. His grandfather migrated to the United States, right? So that's, Joe Biden's family is a little bit older in the United States, Joe Biden's family history. My family history on both sides goes back to the colonial period. That's, the War of Independence before that, even before the War of Independence. So there's a lot of Americans that have been paying in, like myself, into this thing, what they call this American experiment, this U.S. experiment, for many, 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 many generations. 400 years is about 3 or 4 generations in each 100 years, right? Back in the days, sometimes some people only live to be, sometimes it could be 5. Some people only live to be 20 and shit, 30, maybe had kids at 16, 13, like really. But yet Trump comes along and just tears down the whole East Wing, right? Sent shockers out there. But now he's saying that he has private donors that are going to pay for it. Amazon, there's a lot of American corporations that said they want to chip in. Right. Now he's saying because it costs $100 million more, that there's somebody else that said, a private donor who he doesn't want to mention their name. Right. This is Trump openly talking about it. Within the last 24 hours, this is Trump. But look at this. Let's let this play. You just look.
He gave us a check for $130 million.
And that's going to go to
which was sort of a shortfall, yeah. And that's going to go to the military, yeah.
And what's your message?
Is that the correct number? $130 million. That's what I call a patriot. Okay. Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you.
Let me play this one more time.
He doesn't really want the recognition, if you want to know the truth, but he gave us a check for $130 million.
And that's going to go to
So he gave them. So listen carefully. Look at Pete Hegseth's eyes when he says that. So a private donor who Trump doesn't want to mention, Trump claims the person doesn't want to be mentioned. Who is that donor? And he claims that he gave them a check already for $130 million. So Trump has a check for $130 million from someone, but it's not public. It has not been made public yet. Let me know how you all feel about that. And let me know, who is the donor? Who is that individual? Is that Putin? Is that the king of Saudi Arabia? Is it who is it? Is it the president of Argentina? Who do you think it is? Yeah, that's a good question. Who is the donor? That's a simple question. Everybody answer that question. Who is the donor? Who's the mystery donor?
Which was sort of a shortfall, yeah. And that's going to go to the military, yeah.
And what's your message?
Is that the correct number? $130 million. That's what I call a patriot. Okay.
Appreciate you, Steve.
Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you. He doesn't really want the recognition, if you want to know the truth, but he gave us a check for $130 million.
And that's going to go to
which was sort of a shortfall, yeah. And that's going to go to the military, yeah.
And what's your message?
Is that the correct number? $130 million. That's what I call a patriot. Okay. Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you. He doesn't really want the recognition, if you want to know the truth, but he gave us a check for $130 million.
And that's going to go to
which was sort of a shortfall, yeah. And that's going to go to the military, yeah.
And what's your message?
Is that the correct number? $130 million. That's what I call a patriot. Okay. Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you. He doesn't really want the recognition, if you want to know the truth.
Yeah, so there's people that say Trump is actually terminally ill. This is the next one. That statement, I don't know what the eyes were about. No one could know. We could all guess. I guess that it could just be a number of different kooky things because Trump is like that, right? You don't get a chance to always fact check Trump. And even if you fact check him, that's not something a lot of his support base cares about. They don't care if he's wrong necessarily because they believe that the Democrats were wrong, and nothing happened to them. So that justifies in their mind Trump tearing down the East wing of the White House, a lot of them. That justifies him blowing up boats in international water that he claims are drug dealers, which he doesn't provide evidence to. Right. That justifies a lot of stuff. It justifies him sending out the military into American cities. Right. It justifies just a lot of behavior, right, from Trump. And in their view, he's justified by all of his actions, even if they're criminal. Even if a judge says they're criminal, even if they're found to be criminal, even if the Supreme Court says it's criminal, he still does it. Not that the Supreme Court isn't rigged. 6 Republicans to 4 others, right? So you pretty much get a slanted Supreme Court in that way. But in my mind, I think that something is going on terribly wrong with this tearing down of the East Wing. From what I've been told, the bunker where the president would go in high risk moments in serious times, there's 2. There's one in Virginia in the Pentagon, and there's one under the White House. From the last time I checked, what I've been told, it's the East Wing where that other bunker is, where the president would go in real times of an emergency or crisis, the war room, for lack of other words, right, terms, underneath it's underneath the East Wing. So when I look at people paying, who's volunteering, who's paying for the East Wing to be built, I think that mystery, check, I would be thinking, okay, that I would want to know that. But I also would want to know who the hell is building this ball, because whatever it is, whoever is in charge and whoever is playing a role in building this ballroom on top of that bunker, to me, that would be a highly sensitive endeavor to take up. You have to source the materials. You have to check everyone involved. You have to have a government that's responsible in sourcing, a government that's responsible in hiring, a government that has a good record in, these kind of things. In other words, not being corrupt, because I couldn't think of a better place to have some spying shit going on. But right on top of that, I wouldn't think of a better place to want to have infrastructure knowledge about than what's right there. I couldn't think of a better place to want, if I was the enemy of the United States, to want to have some way in, just any way in, any knowledge about it, how it's being built, how it's structured, the materials that are needed, who is doing the sourcing, what companies are they buying different materials from. I would be looking for a way to get in there somehow, whether it's putting in, nano devices into cement, whether it's, anything, we're putting it into just anything. For me, I would think that there's no way in hell the next president of the United States should go into that White House and think that it's safe at all. That would be my thinking, especially from spying, And I think Trump has pretty much shown a type of behavior, a lack of concern about all, and also a hatred for all other U.S. presidents. I mean, Trump ran on everything else in the United States before him being wrong. Every other president being wrong. Look, even the Republican president's wrong. Look at when, an example of that is when you get Reagan talking about tariffs. He's pissed about that, because, whether you agree with all of Reagan's policy or not, Reagan didn't agree to tariffs. He was against tariffs, and Trump doesn't like that. But that's Trump's true feeling. Trump was against the supporting of Ukraine. Trump, he's been against a lot of things. Anything that another president has done in the past, Trump has been against, pretty much. So I don't see why anything about the building of this ballroom would be expected to be done by the standards of any other president before Trump. To me, this sounds like a completely new endeavor. And it just doesn't look good to me. But in any case, on that note, I do believe because of all of that, once and all of what we've seen, all of what we witnessed, that when Trump is gone and his administration is gone, Americans from north to south are going to be celebrating together. And it may be the single most unifying event that has ever come, because Trump has presented a threat to security across the Americas. And, he's shown a disdain and a hatred for American culture from north, from Canada to south, all the way down to damn near, every other place but Argentina. Notice he doesn't talk about the Argentinian people, because the government is corrupt. That's who he's in their pocket. They got some little relation, but he damn sure hates Colombia, who's not Venezuela. I mean, Colombia has free and fair elections. They're moving in a different direction. And Venezuela has been challenged and said to be the opposite, not having free and fair elections. And yet Trump hates both. Trump is attacking both. Trump is attacking, instead of working to actually strengthen the border. I mean, he's talked about drug trafficking. Drug trafficking is not a thing you're going to solve in 4 fucking years. You're not going to solve it in 8 years. It's way deeper than that. Just like you're not going to solve gun proliferation or any other, human trafficking. No one has ever suggested in the world, in any country, not in any government, that you can stop this in 4 years. It takes decades and decades of cooperation. In some cases, it takes a lifetime to make an effect on these things, And, it just seems like Trump has really done a lot to show people that he has no respect for any of the work that's been done before him. And I'm not talking about Biden. I mean, just anybody, any American, period. And I think you see it in how he approached the destruction of the East Wing. And you see it in how he approaches tariffs and agreements and trade and even just working relations with Canada. I think folks are going to be celebrating when he's gone. So, but on that note, I appreciate everybody for coming out. Listen, if you haven't subscribed, click like on the video. And, we're going to continue this conversation anyway, the way it's been going. And by the way, it's been going pretty positively. Actually, I'm able to connect with a lot of Americans this way and a lot of folks across the EU. One thing I want to say is I saw this comment. There was a comment from one person before I go that was a UK MAGA supporter. They claim to be a UK MAGA supporter, person from the UK that supports MAGA. And I just thought he supports Trump in the US, a person from the UK. And I just thought, damn, this is really weird because I'm an American citizen. So I grew up in the US, born and raised in the US, grew up there. My family is from America, the US. But I live in Denmark as an adult, and I've lived in Denmark for 20 years. So the judgments that I make, they're not based on having no qualified information or qualified access to the society. And I just think like, damn, I mean, people in the UK, they get more access to healthcare than even Americans get. Why would you support a government if you're even MAGA in the UK? Why would you support a president in the United States of America that wants to limit healthcare access more than you have the right to yourself? Would you support? So my question to that MAGA supporter is the UK one is, do you support a government limiting healthcare access in the UK to all UK citizens? Or are you against that? To me, I just think I just wonder. And the reason, and also the last thing I was going to say is, this is why I bring up trolls a lot, because, I could understand if you were the enemy of the United States, an enemy, like a person posing to be American that's in the chat, that's trolling, that's supporting Trump, supporting everything Trump does, even if it hurts those people that voted for him. I could understand that position if you were a troll. I could not understand a person who is not a troll who voted for Trump approving of everything Trump does. That I could not understand. And, you know, on that note, I'm out. I appreciate everybody. And I'm going to catch up with y'all later on today. Everyone be good. I hope you have a good start to your weekend. I will. I'm going to go out and have some brunch in a minute with my son. But I'm going to catch y'all later on today. Peace.
They want war. Crying babies looking for food. Starvation, the recipe. People subdued. When the people you trust got it in for you. Deceit is the word of the day and every clue. Don't let it go. It's from the days of old. Time is up, but some still do not know. Can I make up my mind? Is it worth the dime? Do I have to take a minute just to make it mine? Life's never fair, but don't listen to the TV. Go out and take a listen to the streets with the people in the slums and the homeless bums with degrees and degrees sitting under a tree. It's not easy in the world for the poor man, the one that brought you to reality. See, they don't want you to know about the black sheep, leaving 7 rows to the 12 families all around the globe with an ancient code. Is it really asking a lot to say a debt's owed? Cause we sitting on the earth looking back at extinct, and I'm standing on some ground that's about to sink. I ain't scared for a minute, I ain't about to blink, but I documented for the world what I see and think. Feel we on the call and I feel we on the break. All Congress gonna do is waste paper and ink. Vote or die, you voted and you'll die. You can have it both ways, can't say it's a lie. You can march all you want, but they playing you wrong. They only understand war, it's the same old song. They want war, all they really want is a war. Diversionary tactic to make the big score. The diamonds in the morning, you know they want more, but they wanna keep you low, so they manifest the war. War, all they really want is a war. Diversionary tactic to make the big score. The diamonds in the morning, you know they want more, but they wanna keep you low, so they manifest the war. Like a lotus coming out of the mud with colors, I create envy in those with power but jealous. I unify the poor with my song, the hell with the others. Descended the way they treat indigenous brothers. Cause I understand we link forever. They try to hate us even though that we keep it together. I'm not talking about controlling the air or the weather. I'm talking about maintaining the truth, the high endeavor. A rebel drops bombs in the midst of trouble. The free world counterattack and now there's double. But nature gets the shit in a way that's subtle. If you stop the machines for a minute you might hear, but they won't cause the TV's whisper in the ear. And capitalism has eyes that don't tear, and they cloud up and get crazy and won't steer. And like an ab, it's hard to get an ass to listen. Living like this is like living in prison. It's hard to keep hope when you're living in prison. The spiritual thoughts, so yes, the mental prison. The outside, yes, it's got to get through. Something's gotta die, so something here can live. Your life is nothing if you got nothing to give. Keeping the spiritual, yes, disguised as religion. Controlling your mind, the mental prison. They want war, all they really want is a war. Diversionary tactic to make the big score. The